Check me out.
Yeah. Well, hey, podcast listening people. What's going on today? How are you? Really appreciate you listening in. This is Connor Doobie, your host each and every single episode, and have an exciting episode for you today. Always have some good stuff for you. Really appreciate you listening in. Please do us this tiny favor before you leave today. Wherever you listen, make sure you subscribe. Number one, check that off the box. Number two, please leave a review. Ooh, that was a good rhyme. Leave a review, and it really helps with our rankings, and we love the feedback. We love to hear from you guys. We love your input and your thoughts on the show. It allows us to continue making this great and making this a great platform for you. And you're in the right place, right? If you're in Colorado, you're a student, you're a professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business builder, this is the podcast for you. We have some really powerful guests on, and I have a great guest for you today. Today, we have on Ben Higgins, who is known from season 20 of ABC's The Bachelor. The Bachelor. That's right, on ABC television. In addition to his career in financial services, Ben, along with some of his closest friends, have started a few new projects since then, like Mahogany Workplace, a new lifestyle blog that allows people to talk about life exactly how it is, a series of ups and downs, joys and sorrows, pains and triumph. He's also founded Generous International, a for-profit company dedicated to giving funding to social issues around the world. The Almost Famous podcast, which is a podcast project with iHeart Media that Ben co-hosts with friend and former Bachelor contestant Ashley, and Humanity and Hope United, and also a handful of other businesses he's invested into and built, and nonprofits, which Ben is a really giving guy. I very much enjoyed our conversation together. I got a lot of mixed reviews when I put the word out that we're going to have Ben on the podcast. People were either really excited or kind of weird about it for whatever reason. I don't know. I didn't watch The Bachelor, so maybe something happened. But understand this, guys. Just because you see someone on TV or you see something on TV don't mean it's real, okay? Even if it's reality TV, just so you know. But Ben is a great guy. I really enjoyed getting to know him. Very excited about the projects he's involved with. And so real excited to share this with you. Real quick, before we dive in, if you have a guest you recommend for us, you want to partner up, you want to collaborate on the show one way or another, that would be awesome. Make sure you send us an email, milehighmentors@gmail.com. You can also send us a note on social media, wherever you find us, and we will follow up with you from there. milehighmentors@gmail.com. Got a guest you recommend, or you want to partner up, collaborate on the podcast, one form or another. All right, guys, without further ado, please give it up for Ben Higgins on the Mile High Mentors podcast.
So no, I come from a small town in Indiana. Mm-hmm. It's the orthopedic capital of the world. So we have 5 orthopedic headquarters. So some of the largest companies in a town of 4,000 people. No, in the city limits, yeah, maybe 9,000 now. Super tiny. My dad works in sales. My mom worked at as a receptionist. But they did have their own little business. My grandfather started a fish fry business, so they do that on the weekends. I think for me, and the culture, I don't think being an entrepreneur is still today. I don't know if that's what I consider myself. I think it's fun to engage with people in whatever they're doing. So I don't want to live a life that makes me linear, meaning I have one path at one job, sitting behind one computer. I saw that suck the soul out of too many people. Right. My my jobs out of college started to feel that way. So investing or participating in as many things I could get my hands on, or was kind of, maybe it's an attention deficit disorder or whatever. I really wanted to stretch myself amongst multiple things to see what stuck. Well, what ended up happening, I think, along the way was a couple things stuck. And it made me reposition my career and my life and what my mindset was going to be to say, okay, I could have my hands in 20 different projects. How can I do that well, give the attention to them I need? And then as a result of that, I guess you could define that as being an entrepreneur. But really, it's the lifestyle that I wanted. I didn't want to be behind a desk. Entrepreneurs are, I think everybody has a little bit in them, right? And typically entrepreneurs at a young age don't make great money. For me, I had the benefit of having a show and a platform.
You started in a career.
I started in a career.
So step back a little bit. You went to college in Indiana?
I did. Yeah, I went to Indiana University. I went to high school and college in Indiana.
Okay.
And then I moved to Peru.
And you're studying what in college?
Business management.
Yeah.
Nonprofit management, really. I thought I was going to be more in the nonprofit sector or hospitality.
So you had nonprofit mentality, intentions, even going through college?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it made the most sense. So really what my motivation was has always been is I really love being a part of stories. Selfishly, I like being able to tell stories, experience stories, and talk about stories.
That's why you're a good podcaster, man.
Well, we try.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was always a storyteller, has always been a storyteller. And I remember as a kid being captivated and just completely engaged by the stories he was telling and how others would be engaged by the stories he was telling. And they were real stories. And I was like, he's lived a life that his grandkids are now motivated by and encouraged by. I want to be that guy. I want to be somebody that has stories to tell when I'm 80 years old. And so as a result, you have to make conscious decisions to try to build that lifestyle. And luckily for me, from the early 20s, I was able to kind of go down that path. So my motivation in all of this has been, I think if I look back, and I'll probably change my mind in a couple of years, my motivation in all of this has been being a part of stories and being around people. So how
you want a story to tell at the end of the day, whatever you're doing,
definitely.
You want to have.
Yeah, I want to experience things. I want to be able to look at the surroundings and talk about even this, like, in 10 years and make it what it was, explain it to others for what the feeling was and what their environment was and what the podcast was and why I was here and who I met. And I think investing or pursuing other businesses and other projects and other people's passions allows you to do that. There's nothing cooler than hearing somebody super fired up about whatever it is they're doing. It's fun and it's exciting and it makes you go, I want to be a part of this as well. I want to be a part of it. I want to be engaged in it. So yeah, for me, that's why I do what I do. And
you left straight from college, you went straight into a career, or you went straight to travel? Because you said you lived that kind of corporate career life for a little while, right?
Well, a little bit, yeah. So my story is this. I went to Indiana University, graduated with a nonprofit business management degree. Couldn't find a job out of college. Don't know if I didn't try hard enough to find a job or didn't have the good enough grades or whatever it was. I could not find a job. So my buddy came to me and goes, I can't find a job either. Let's just give up on the job search for a bit and travel. And so we moved to Peru to teach English and to try to find odd jobs in Peru, thinking that was going to be a solution.
Why Peru?
Machu Picchu. We wanted to see it.
Yeah.
It was a goal. It was a dream. And so once we got down there, the stories were being created. We were meeting great people. We were living in a hostel. It was a blast. I got a little homesick, moved back after 4 months, started working at a small nonprofit in my hometown called Baker's Youth Club. I was making $10 an hour, and I was the summer manager and with a college degree. And my boss at the time came to me one day, and she goes, you're made for so much more than this. You're becoming too content in this. You're living at home. You're in your hometown. It's safe.
Did you feel that way?
100%.
At that time? Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it, but I felt it. I come from a super small town. My family and I are very close.
Yeah.
There was no fears, no confusion. My life was, there was a very clear picture. I was going to get married. I was probably going to be a nonprofit manager.
Traditional life, traditional
very
careers.
Clear cut.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to look very similar to everybody, to the life I could have imagined and pictured. There was no risk, no fear, no questions. And so she came to me and said, you're made for so much more than this. My brother is the vice president of a company in Denver. If he offers you a job, would you take it? And I said, if he offers me a job, I'll take it. So I moved out to Denver, kind of sight unseen, no friends, didn't know anybody. It was a software job. It was actually a really great job.
Software sales?
Yeah. Well, I started out writing user manuals as a business analyst.
Huh.
So not for me. But I did it for
That must
4
have been
years. It was rough.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It must have been a blast.
Well, you want to talk about anything that's not your personality. Do you want to take things that you're worse at and put you in a job? That was me. But it was a good challenge and it was a good stretch, and it made me really appreciate good things. I'm very. I learned at that time in my life to start to focus on appreciating really good moments and really good jobs and really good people, because quite honestly, as great as that company is, and the company itself had their own issues, but I don't want to ever blame the company. The job is really terrible.
So your brother was VP.
Her brother was VP.
Okay, got it.
He offered me the job. I moved out there as a business analyst. The job writing user manuals for me was really terrible. Some people loved it. I was really bad at it, and it wasn't my personality. And so it really struck me deep that I wasn't enjoying it. So long story short, I moved from that into finally into sales. And so I was in sales for 2 years with them, traveling across the U.S. And it was great and fun. But I think at some level my purpose wasn't being felt. I didn't come home at night and go, man, I have never been able to get motivated by, I made a massive sell today. I closed an account and it's going to mean X amount more money in my bank account. That hasn't fit. I kind of sometimes wish it would have, because I was on a path to have a really great job, but I would go home.
But it was a job.
But it was a job, and I would go home at night and feel unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and question that whole kind of desire in my heart of I want to be a part and I want to create stories. I wasn't creating stories. I was creating drinking memories with friends on the road.
Yeah.
Would
you consider yourself, like, when you're growing up and you're going through this, are you more, because I'm sure being on Bachelor airs internationally?
Internationally.
Mm-hmm. Being on international TV, were you outgoing, or do you consider yourself more of an introvert?
Definitely an introvert. But
analytical guy, or more like
more analytical.
Yeah.
I speak, I react very quickly, meaning that doesn't mean I'm like a very quick, like it means, typically analytical processors will take time to speak. I don't do that. So I'm kind of like the worst of both worlds. Not only should I be processing things more, but I react quickly because of my, I think the lack of social awareness at times. And so I've had to really work on how I process things and how outgoing I am, because when I say things too quickly, my outgoingness oftentimes gets me in trouble. So I am an introvert.
What do you mean by that? In trouble in what way?
I'll say things that actually aren't true. I don't mean, not that I'm lying, but like I'll react to a situation and I'll make an assumption in my head about what you're thinking, feeling, or actually meaning.
Right.
When I'm not actually listening to you and hearing what you're saying and hearing what you're trying to communicate. It got me in trouble in business. I'd sit in meetings and I would think through, I would sit there and assume what the person's trying to get to, and try to move them down that path, or try to get in front of them on that path, and they weren't going there at all.
Isn't that the great quirk of being in sales?
But it's not a great quality when you're terrible at it.
Right.
And so I'm in short, I am an introvert, but I did go on national television, and it's forced me out of my comfort zone. Now,
sure.
Now I think I have forced myself to work on my weaknesses, where people don't exhaust me as much as they used to. I love people, but I know, for example, I was just in Canada yesterday at an event, and 200 people came, and we were talking kind of one-on-one. It was 4 hours long, and at the 3-hour 15 mark, I realized I had not listened to somebody in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was talking.
People were just, on autopilot.
I was on autopilot.
So easy to get into that mode, right? Yeah, I totally get that. Someone introduces themselves, they tell you their name, and you forget it after 2 seconds.
Yeah, and that's kind of the introvert. Like it didn't fire me up to be around people.
Were you speaking?
Exhausted. Yeah. So I do a lot. Kind of this time of year, we travel and we speak on a couple different topics, mostly whatever's relating to Generous at the time. I'm trying to spread the message of purpose and passions and connection.
So Generous, walk us through how that came about. Like, when did that idea come to fruition? Yeah,
so the backstory to Generous is, while I was working at the software company, my buddy had started a nonprofit called Humanity and Hope United. And I grew up in the church, And oftentimes in church, you go on missions trips. Missions trips can mean 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. But one thing that was really consistent in kind of the early 2000s, mid 90s and 2000s was the missions trips consisted of spreading whatever church you went to. But for me, it was a Christian church, spreading a message of Jesus and passing out boxes of food or relief programs. That was really popular. You'd bring a bunch of people down to do it, and you'd take a bunch of pictures. But what would happen is you would feel empty when you left because you aren't empowering anybody, and you aren't actually
people,
building.
or you were feeling that way.
People that were going to trips.
Yeah.
Or
Interesting.
I can really not speak for anybody else. I have a feeling, myself personally was feeling this way. My buddy was feeling this way, where it would feel like we were coming down as the saviors of the world and teaching a message that we thought we knew more about, and then passing out a box and leaving, coming back a year later, and nothing's better. People are still hungry, thirsty, desiring community, connection, and relationships. So my buddy was smart enough to come up with an idea that we could build sustainable change in these communities by not taking away their culture, but by not disempowering them, but by partnering with them to help them find jobs or build small businesses within their jobs to help them earn an income to then pay for whatever their dreams are. If it's education for their children, if it's healthcare, if it's a better house, whatever that is. Food.
So the difference is, instead of just pumping resources in, you're empowering people to obtain resources.
Definitely, yeah. So the difference is this: the approach goes down from, hey, we have a mission to teach somebody something, to going down and sitting beside the people in these communities and going, what do you need? What do you want? And how can we help you get there?
Right.
So that was started, and it's going
philanthropy. It becomes so complicated sometimes because that happens a lot. People just pump resources into stuff, and yeah, it's a good like Band-Aid, but I like that approach. I like that model that you're doing there.
Yeah. It's philanthropy can get really confusing. Helping can hurt oftentimes, and the repercussions of trying to help and with the best intentions oftentimes fail. So you have to try your best. There's obviously issues in any organization, but Humanity and Hope United was doing really well. It's growing quickly. My job on the board was fundraising. And one of the things about fundraising that's frustrating for nonprofits is that every relationship becomes transactional. Meaning, if I sat down with you as a friend or family member or just at dinner, I would want to tell you about the nonprofit I'm a part of, and I'm also going to want to ask you for money because that's my job, that's how we function, and it's my responsibility. Unfortunately, that model is dying, and it should die. Transactional relationships are not successful, they're not real, they're not healthy, and I don't want to be a part of them. So it got me selfishly to ask the question, what could we do differently? How can we fundraise for nonprofits without having to ask every person that we come in contact with for money? So my friend Riley and my other buddy Drew, we were on a trip to Honduras visiting the organization. We brought a couple advisors down with us, and they said, hey, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either partner with a corporation to help you fundraise, so they give you a large lump of money and you operate off of that, or you can start your own business and use the profits from that to operate.
For profit with a purpose.
Yeah, we like to call it for purpose.
Yeah, for purpose.
And so we came back to the States.
Did you coin that term?
I don't know.
Oh, you need to trademark that.
We do, yeah. Yeah, we actually
Who knows?
That's a good one, huh?
Yeah.
But we came back to the States.
Too bad you can't start a podcast around that right now.
That'd be great. The For Purpose podcast.
We can start one.
You can
and then
start
you can
it.
just come guest on it.
That'd
Would
be
that
great.
impede on your contract? All right, cool.
Never
Done.
know.
You got space.
That's 4 chairs. But we came back and we started to brainstorm. There's a couple factors that came into play here. We wanted to find a product to sell that was massively consumed, that had no religious barriers. As Christians ourselves, as the founders, we also, I believe, are pretty inclusive in our faith and our thought process, and so we didn't want to set up boundaries where we sell alcohol and half the religions of the world are going to be not able to consume it. That's not fun. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not who we are as people. We don't want to be who we are as an organization. So massively consumed, widely acceptable, and also in a market that we thought we can compete in. Coffee is a super saturated market, so we chose coffee.
Yeah, right.
Because what we believe we could do better than anybody is not serve better coffee. For the most part, our beans are coming from the same places that most people's beans are coming from. We thought we could better storytell. So we thought we could go down to these people that we're sourcing the coffee from, and tell their stories and encourage people like you to purchase our coffee, which is going to be great coffee. It's specialty grade coffee, so you're not sacrificing the quality. You're not really sacrificing on price. Our price is pretty competitive. It's a little higher, about $1 higher than most. But if we story told correctly, we could bring you into this story by making the consumer the hero. So you could actually come purchase coffee and know that your purchase is going to something better. So now, but
aren't there sorry to interrupt you, aren't there tons of coffee companies that give back and donate
Definitely.
and have for cause purposes?
100%. But
the storytelling,
name one of those right now.
The storytelling would be better on your end.
Well, yeah, but name one coffee brand right now that is doing that. Tons of them you hear about.
Yeah,
them.
there's lots of them.
Yeah, but there's none that stick
I
out
shop
to you.
at natural grocers mostly and Whole Foods, and a lot of those coffees come from that.
Ton of them.
Yeah.
But you aren't loyal to one of them. You can't recognize a brand.
I do pick a lot of different coffees.
Definitely. So if we can get you on board with our mission, tell a story, and bring you into the party, then you're going to want to stay. The hope is that we believe that a beverage wasn't doing that. There's beverages out there doing it, just like there is in most industries and sectors. But there wasn't a beverage doing it as well as we thought we could. So here was the differentiator for us. We were going to be completely transparent and completely authentic with our books. If you want to see our books right now as a for-profit company, I'm going to allow you to do that. I want you to know that 10% of our revenue is going to organizations that are fighting human injustice. I also want you to know that your purchase is going to something better. I also want you to know that I think this is the new wave of fundraising for organizations. I think that instead of just a transactional relationship where you're just giving money to a nonprofit to function, we can say your benefit is you're getting great coffee, or you're getting a great t-shirt, or you're getting a great bracelet or a great coffee mug or whatever it is we sell. And as a result of that, nonprofits are going to get great funding.
Almost every business kind of has to build their foundations around that now, right?
I
think it's the millennials shifted that purchasing power.
I think you make a great point. The we generation that's coming up, is super socially conscious.
Right.
We haven't seen a more socially conscious generation since maybe the 60s and early 70s, where we had a bunch of people fighting for social causes the way that this generation now is willing to fight for them. I believe the people on Earth today will have the technology to do amazing things. I believe that the water crisis could be solved in our lifetimes. I believe the food shortage should be solved in our lifetimes. We have enough food. We just have to get better about it. I think technology is allowing us, this generation, to make massive strides and massive impact. And so,
have you read Bold?
No.
The book Bold? I need to send you this book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to digress, but
so as
you like books?
Love books.
Okay, cool. I'm going to send this to you.
As a generation, we, as businesses existing in this generation, you will have to have a social story and a social responsibility and a social impact to be successful. The difference with Generous is a lot of companies now, Toyota is an example, and I'll use Toyota, a great brand, incredibly successful, obviously. I don't know if they've always had a social purpose to their cause, but they donate a ton of money to organizations now. Mm-hmm. But they've had to back into that, right? Now they're trying to put it on their marketing programs and their commercials.
Where they haven't is so much.
They haven't. So with Generous, we started at a foundational level saying we are a socially responsible company. We exist to give back, not we exist to be a successful company so we can give back. No matter if it hurts, we're going to give from the beginning. No matter if it pains us, we're going to give from the beginning. And it allows us to have a lot clearer story, and it's in our ethos. It's in our employees. It's in our culture. It's in our connections that you're working for Generous. You're selling Generous products because of the mission, not because of the products. The products are great, and we need to market them well and sell them well.
Right.
But you're doing this because you believe in a higher power, like a higher story, a higher power, whatever it is, a higher purpose.
Now, you built Generous after you were on The Bachelor?
Yes.
Yeah. So here's my question: is someone who wants to build, because I would imagine the following you already had as a base had to have helped. Would you disagree with that?
Oh, no, 100%.
To really get
we would
get
never
out there
be where we're at today without the following. Yeah, that was, yes, very easy to have 1.5 million people following you and a click of a button.
And 93% women, I think, is what
women like coffee too. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Yeah. That's a whole nother story. I mean, that's probably a whole nother rabbit hole. But what would you recommend for somebody to build a company like that without the following as a foundation that you had?
Yeah. So I'm going to use some fluffy terms, and then we can get down to the
Don't
nitty
give us
gritty.
the fluff, man. Give us the good stuff.
You have to. I think the best way to do it is you have to decide what you're passionate about. I don't think any startup will ever be successful unless you're passionate, because starting a startup is terrible. It's really hard. It's really frustrating, and it's very lonely. So you have to be passionate, because if you're not passionate, you'll quit too early. That passion also has to have a purpose. So your purpose has to be defined within it. If you have a purpose and you're going to bed at night and no matter how many hours you put in or no matter how many random conversations you had to have, if your purpose was being displayed, you're going to be fired up to wake up the next morning. And you're also going to have to pick a pursuit. So once you tick your lane, whatever that passion and that purpose is, pick that lane and stay with it. Follow that pursuit out. Focus.
Yeah.
And then here's the side
Quit
thing.
chasing all the shiny objects.
Definitely, because there's going to be 1,000 things that pop up in your path.
And I'm sure you get approached by lots of stuff. Now, it comes with the following, right?
Yeah, you got to be. Yeah, so I know what my path is. My path is trying to be a part of communities. So, but finally, when you find your passion, you decide your purpose, and you start pursuing whatever it is you've decided upon. The one thing the biggest thing I'd recommend is give up your pride, because obviously you're starting a startup because you believe you can do it. Give up your pride and wrap yourself and bring people into your community that are a lot more talented than you are, and understand that they're a lot more talented than you are.
By pride, do you mean more like ego, or you literally mean
pride and ego? Yeah. Let's use them synonymous. So your ego, your pride, whatever it is that you...
Because I think you should be proud of what you're doing, not so much your...
pride and maybe being proud and being prideful are two separate things.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think pride is disassociation with any humility. Mm-hmm. Being proud of what you're doing and excited about what you're doing and fired up about what you're doing is a wonderful thing. You should be. But you've got to give up your ego to where... And your pride to where you're not allowing yourself to be humbled by somebody else knowing more than you. There's always going to be somebody that knows more than you do. No matter how much you think you know, there's going to be somebody that knows more. Find those people. Surround yourself with those people and ask them for help. People want to help other people. It's something I found with Generous is people want to help other people, so allow somebody else to help you.
Yeah, it's a flywheel. Do you feel like that mentality came from your religious background, or is that something you kind of had to learn later on in life?
I don't know. I mean, I would want to imagine that people want to help others because of...
No. I'm talking more of other people know more than you, and you need to set your ego aside. It's something we've talked about so much, is putting your damn ego to the side and... allowing other people to give you the torch.
I mean, I think maybe it does from an early age, believing fully that there is a God and that I'm not the biggest thing out there. Because if I was the biggest thing out there, I always say we're in a lot of trouble. And so by believing there's a God and that I'm not the biggest thing out there, I think it allows me the posture in life to also understand that people are going to know more than me, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
What I really want is just to be a part of the story, as I've talked about since the beginning of this podcast. Is I just want to be a piece of the story. I want to be a character in the story. I want to be involved in the story, no matter what that looks like. But I also know that I'm never going to be the main character of the story. And so, yes, it does allow me that posture walking into any community.
Who do you do you have mentors now, or mentors throughout your life, or even people you've studied that maybe you haven't even met before, that you use their information to grow the way that you've grown?
Yeah, in different places. So I'm a big Donald Miller fan when it comes to storytelling and marketing, and Bob Goff. Bob Goff and Donald Miller are two guys that tell amazing stories that are hope-filled, love-filled, and super joy-filled, but also super true. When it comes to business... it's actually, I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by a few really great people. One of my good friends, Cole Reynolds, is out of Cincinnati. He's an incredible thinker and mentor. And also Juan Pedro who's my business partner at Ashkara, who owns Highland Tappenberger and Bardot.
Oh, he's here?
Senior Bear.
Does he have the nonprofit? Or
he has a nonprofit in the foundation. No, Riley Fuller is a part of the nonprofit. Juan owns about 11 restaurants in Denver.
Oh, we'll have to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he's really talented, really great guy, super knowledgeable. And he's taught me a lot when it comes to how you engage people in in your business. And so one of the things he's taught me is that he really likes people, and so when it comes to his restaurants, he tries to hit every table that's in there, and he talks every table, which allows people to feel the owner is talking to you. That's a big deal when it comes to dinner. And then Riley and Drew, my two other founders in Generous, and there's 1,000. Jordan Fuller, there's 1,000 people, but it's surrounding yourself with friends. And I guess to sum that up is, yes, there's mentors, but I want to believe that I can be in any situation and learn from it. So no matter what conversation's going on or who I'm with, if it's middle schoolers, I'm going to learn something from them. Whatever's relevant today, whatever's funny today, maybe it's the naivete of their life still and like what they don't know, but maybe it's something I need to go back to a little bit. Whatever that is, I want to try to learn from every interaction. And so everybody can be a mentor. I think that's what happens when you drop your ego, is you're always looking to learn.
That right there, though, probably feels natural to you now. And I've had to learn that too, is drop my ego. Cause I'd always look at someone doing better than me. I'd be like, who's this a-hole? Like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's probably the most important thing. And a massive premise of the show too, is you really have to set your ego aside and realize that whether it's a preschooler or whether it's Ben Higgins, who has, millions of followers and you built a successful business, there's always that golden nugget that you can learn from other people.
100%. Don't give that up. Like, fight for that forever. Fight for the idea that you can always learn from other people. As soon as you stop doing that, you're going to stop being effective and you're going to start disconnecting. It's one of maybe the biggest issues in not any political party or any business, but maybe in politics, maybe as leaders of organizations. CEOs become irrelevant and out of touch with their companies because they've stopped learning from others.
They stopped going to the table of the customer.
They stopped going to the table. They've stopped sitting down with the person punching numbers at their desk and saying, what is your job like? What could we do better? Having that posture at all levels, the point that you should take away, what I've learned, is that never give up the ability to learn from every interaction. Once you do that, you're dangerously walking a line of irrelevance. And none of us can afford to become completely disconnected from what is happening around us, within us, and amongst us.
Love it, man. Anything else you want to share while we're here today?
Dude, it's up to you, man. I do think that what I would share when it comes to business.
Anything. Doesn't even have to be business.
Life, right? My buddy and I talked about this today. There's a few things that happen, right? My buddy's a basketball coach.
Yeah.
Few career paths that you either have a career that is a part of your identity or you have a career that you're trying to push away from your identity. So what I mean by that is you either have a career that is so threaded amongst your life that you can't walk away from it, and nor do you maybe sometimes want to, right?
Most careers are like that now, though, right? Like, everyone is, there's no longer that separation between business and like life.
Yeah, so be careful so the point to that is be careful what career you walk into, because it gets really dangerous if it isn't one that you're passionate about. And I don't mean to come here and say that everybody is going to be afforded the opportunities to have a career that they just love and dreamt of. Right. But what I would say is no matter where you're working, there is a piece of that job that you can fall in love with. I have a buddy, my best friend is a welder. Hates his job. Absolutely hates his job. He works in an RV company and he's blown in the exhaust and the smoke all the time. It's just destroying his body. Hates his job. But when he called me the other day, what he loves about his job is the people he gets to meet, the stories he gets to hear, the fact that he can help a bunch of people. Because if he doesn't like his job, probably the people amongst him and working don't like their jobs either. He loves the fact that he works in an environment of people that aren't finding maybe the joy from their jobs, and he wants to be the piece that hopefully lifts them up at the end of the day. That when they walk away, go, hey, go be a great dad tonight. You did a good job. Whatever your job you have, find a piece that you really love, and that should be your pursuit. That should be your passion. And I want to believe the rest will follow. So that would be just like the last little nugget I would leave.
Yeah.
And also come visit
Love
Ashkara in North Denver.
Yeah.
If you're in Denver, it's a great restaurant. We were just
We'll have
voted
to check it out.
one of the top restaurants by Eater 2
You
weeks
got to
ago.
go out to Israel soon.
I know.
Go test it.
I'd like to.
What are some of your other favorite spots? Like, what do you like to do around Denver? You know what's fun? I was thinking about this too when I was thinking about our interview. Is like Denver. We don't have a whole lot of celebrities in Denver,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Not a lot of actors, which is weird.
Yeah,
It's an
not
hour
a-
and 45-minute flight from L.A.
yeah.
My cost of living is a third of what it would be in L.A. That's
Well,
why I stay
that's
here.
the thing is they're all starting to kind of migrate here. So,
Yeah.
like, I heard you talk to Ashley on the podcast, the other day. I was listening in, and you're talking about, you're at Revel or whatever,
Yeah.
and you just got, just bombarded by people. You had to, go hide in the
Yeah.
kitchen. And it's like, is that pretty common when you're going around Denver? Because people aren't used, we talk to a lot of high-level people, but a lot of people aren't used to talk, and they think people are different on the other side. What can you speak to that? Meeting celebrities, meeting, lots of
Yeah.
other people with followings and all that.
One thing I'll say, I spend a lot of my week in L.A.
Yeah,
Celebrities
it's different.
are you hear it's cliche, but very, very much to a point, not different than anybody else. They just live a very different lifestyle, right? It's not as much of the daily grind as much as it is putting on the face to be an actor or an entertainer or be in front of the public and put a smile on your face, because as a host, you can't have a bad day. That's the difference. It's just a lifestyle change. Out in Denver...
Does that feel fake, though?
Oh, 100%.
Compared to, yeah.
Yeah, 100% it does. And I think that's why when you have people who've done it since a young age... They've lost who they are. They've lost touch with their emotions and their ability to kind of feel sad or feel bad or to admit that, I'm not feeling great today. They don't handle their emotions well. And also you see it with hosts when they're in a hosting gig for too long.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely feels fake, but you have to be fake. It's part of the job. People don't want to hear a host get on when they're going through a divorce and hear them sad for 3 straight weeks. That's a terrible show. So the host has to put on a smile and talk.
It may be the best show ever. Who knows?
One of them would be good, yeah. So in Denver, people are great. People are super kind. They come up and say hi. But they also are pretty chill. I get 1,000 more, people coming up to me in LA than I ever would in Denver. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting, yeah.
Denver...
Because I feel like we're in such an echo chamber here. Well, I mean, so is LA, but there's not that many well-known celebrities that
There's really not. I don't think that will happen for long because, like I said, we're an hour and 45-minute flight from Denver.
People are starting to catch on a little bit.
Our cost of living is a lot less. It's why I've stayed here for, I can fly back and forth and stay in a hotel and keep a house here. But yeah, it's going to start happening. But people in Denver are super great. This is a very welcoming place. It's a place I feel comfortable. And it's also a great place to pursue the things that we talked about all day today. There is a platform here to share. It is an echo chamber. You can meet everybody. You can make great connections. We have some really incredible business leaders and businesses here. And people are willing to talk because they're happy typically here. People are pretty joy-filled when they live in Denver.
It's a high altitude. Lack of oxygen and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Really appreciate I'm super grateful for you coming down today. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again at some point.
Definitely.
Just
easy.
Right. Yeah. Easy. The studio. Feel free to come hang out anytime. But guys listening, really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Reviews are always good, right?
Very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the other side.